Welcome to our winter edition of Let's Get Growing. And today we're going to talk about February and what we should be doing in the landscape. So, without further ado, let's get growing. Well, in February, you're still going to have to mow those winter weeds, or you can spray them. But remember that you can use organic sprays such as a 10% vinegar solution, or if you put out a pre-emergent back in August, you're probably not having to fight any weeds at all. But just mow if you have to. So after doing all this work on the lawn, it's time to prepare our beds. And so I want you to go in and cut out all the dead perennial stalks and any dead plant material that's on those perennials that needs to be added to the compost pile, unless we had a disease or insect problem last year. In that case, it needs to go not into the compost pile, but to another area where it can be disposed of. Remember, we have a don't bag it law, so do not put it on the side of the road to be picked up with your trash. So you're going to go ahead and remove that top layer of mulch and put it onto a tarp so that you can save it. That's very valuable. And while we've got that top layer of mulch off, we want to add the compost to fertilize the bed and put in your drip irrigation. Put the drip irrigation in the compost, put your mulch back on top, and you're ready to go for spring. And we're going to continue the major pruning of our trees. Remember, that's anything that crosses and rubs, dead or diseased wood, and then we clean out anything that's growing to the middle. We've got to cut our ground covers and native grasses back by February 15th. By February 22nd, we will want to have removed at least 50% of our roses. Major pruning of roses, remember, a little bit later in February. But go ahead and prune your native grasses and ground covers such as Lyrope, Asiatic jasmine. Raise the mower all the way up, mow it, remove the dead debris, add it to the compost. Put mulch over that so there's no bare spots, and you are ready for spring. And after adding all this to the compost pile, remember in February we need to feed the birds, because if we have an active bird population, we know we have a viable, thriving landscape. This is a cryptanthus, and its exact variety is Earth Angel. And try and always hang on to these tags so that we can remember what kind of plants we're dealing with. And this is in the bromeliad family, and these are epiphytic, meaning that they grow on something else. And so, as you can see, there's not much of a root system to them because they live on other plants. And we're going to transplant this, and we have the mother plant, and then we have two pups that are growing, as you can see, just right out between two leaves on the plant. So you go, how do we pull this apart? I'm going to reach in here and pull it out. So let's do it again. We've got one more pup. Most people would go, what are you going to do with this mother plant? Well, I'm going to remove this leaf. And as you can see, this taproot is coming directly, and we have more pups coming out already. So we know that this is going to produce more babies. We just bury it a little bit deeper. And fill the pot with bark mulch. And what I'm doing is securing it and making sure that it's not moving in the pot. Now this is going to come out and give me some more what we call pups. Now I had pre-cleaned these pots, but it was so windy I had to put mulch in and hold them down. So we're just going to take a little bit of soil, or bark mulch, which is the medium in this case, and we're going to take this. I've made a little hole with my finger. I follow my finger down put it almost to the bottom of the container, and then we take more mulch, a little bit more. And the main thing that we're doing is securing it so that it's stable. And now this will root. You notice I'm not mashing as hard as I can. I'm just giving it a little bit of pressure so that it's all nice and stable. So you can see we've gone from 1 to 3 with more on their way. Well, that's a wrap on our February edition of Let's Get Growing. It may have sounded like a short list, but the things you do in February are going to be most important to the viability of the landscape for the whole rest of the year. So work now while it's still cool. Before it gets hot, it'll save you a lot of work in the heat.